Don't give us the bird. Don't give us your stinker eye. We try our best, and we're successful. Come watch our show. That Rivers sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
Welcome aboard, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live. It is Wednesday, the 6th of August, with Steve Wyss and Will White, and plenty on the slate for today. Continued Champions League qualifying, Leagues Cup across the board. Will, how has your summer been? Are you excited now about the return of what I would call significant qualifying matches? And you're muted.
I don't know why I was muted there. Was I muted?
Yes, you were.
Wrong.
You're back now.
Yeah, I'm struggling with my voice enough without that happening. But yeah, it's not because I was cheering the League's Cup goals last night, although there were quite a few. As always, yeah, Steve, good day to everyone out there. Have enjoyed the summer. Did get involved in the Club World Cup, obviously. We did the shows, but no kind of international major national team tournament this year. So a little bit more kind of rest and relaxation than usual. But as always, looking forward to the season starting. But we're just in the foothills at the moment. So looking forward to today.
Yeah, get that in now because it's going to be a crazy 12 months on the soccer front, leading up, of course, to the World Cup next summer. But welcome in, everyone. Duncan Evans, William Jenner, good to see you. Mike as well, Steve from Lynn, AZ. Duncan says Tigres let him down for a fourfold last night. There was actually plenty of action in that game. Tigres, LAFC, about $80,000, mostly on the goals markets. Biggest winner was over 2.5 goals at -270, $30,000 play. But it seemed like a very the sort of match where there was a lot of action, Will. I know you have been involved with the Leagues Cup. Did you have anything on that game?
Yeah, I was involved in the game, yeah. LAFC basically kind of semi-gave up and put out their reserves. So there was a massive move towards Tigres, who actually ended up losing. I'm not sure exactly what happened with the total. Most of the action was on the total, was it, Steve, you were saying?
Yeah, most of it on the total, looking at the 3.5 goal line in particular. Yeah, there was 10,000 play on the under, but mostly on the over, which obviously lost. So, yeah, tricky.
Yeah, I mean, there has been a very strong trend so far in the Leagues Cup towards overs, not necessarily 3.5, but certainly if you analyse the 2.5 line, I've got some stats on it later on when we start discussing it. But yeah, certainly overs has been the play as it was last season. But it looks like Bet Rivers and the rest of the market are adjusting to that. So let's TBD as to what we decide to play this evening.
Yeah, more Leagues Cup later on today, of course. Just a couple of house specials to tell you about, same as yesterday. And you've only got, I think, another day to get on these house specials if you're interested in them. This is regarding NFL, which starts in a few weeks' time. Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson to win the regular season MVP. That is now plus 250. And the Eagles or the Chiefs to win the most games in the 2025-2026 NFL regular season. That is plus 310. I'll have a look at that. I really do. Two best teams in the NFL. Just a day or so to get involved with those house specials. And while we're here, promo on the Betting Weekly newsletter. The Insider is going to be coming out this Friday, and you'll be getting your usual action of loads of picks from the handicappers across the board. And I think it'll be pretty similar to last season, where everyone will be getting involved. Certainly in the Premier League games, some big games in Europe and stuff like that. Unfortunately, my pick on Monday's newsletter lost. That was yesterday in the Malmo game. I took Malmo on the money line. I did suggest you could go draw no bet if you wanted to be safe. Actually, it was one of my worst reads for a while. They were terrible. They did well to get a draw out of that game. So for those who were in the chat saying Copenhagen were the right side, you absolutely were right. and you were perhaps unfortunate not to get a winner on the board there. I was very disappointed in Malmo yesterday. Will, didn't he have a shot on target? Didn't even have a corner. That's one of my worst bets of the year. I actually backed them most corners as well, personally, right on kickoff. And they didn't even get a single corner. Like, shocking.
Certainly an interesting game. I was on Copenhagen to run a bet as well, so felt kind of a bit aggrieved to not get a full win. But yeah, I think Copenhagen's certainly the better team, according to my ratings anyway.
All over physical mismatch. That big lad Cornelius caused them all sorts of trouble. He's in the arse, actually, if you don't like that sort of play. Just looking through some of the comments. Yeah, Klaxvik, that was my best bet of the day yesterday. Thankfully, they saved me, actually, the Faroe East side. There is a match starting, it's 4 minutes in now, is the team Kairat from Kazakhstan against Slovan Bratislava. I've not actually bet on this game, no. I am watching it in the background here. A team, this is further east than Afghanistan. It's unbelievable. Normally a good idea to bet on the Kazakhstani teams at home, but I think the price was factored in. They kicked off about plus 110 or plus 120, which looked bang on to me. So I didn't get involved. Byron, yeah, you had a bit of the 0-0, didn't you, there in the Malmo game? It was that's a good hit. Just looking through some more actual comments here. Sawyer Lehman, good to see you. These qualifiers are tough to predict. I think some of them are definitely, absolutely, no doubt about it. And in regards to the tennis, Betting Weekly Tennis Live will be live in 2 hours. And Nigel Steely and Mitch will be on the show later. So anything tennis later will be on later, as the producer Troy says there. Moving on to today then. And we're going to have a really good discussion about the Nice game and the Feyenoord game. But before that, 4 matches on the board. That Kairat match is now in play. Kairat actually nearly just scored on top early doors. They kicked off at plus 110. We've got RB Salzburg against Club Brugge, Ludogorets against Ferencvaros, and Lech Poznan are in action against Red Star Belgrade. I'm just going to kick us off with a bet, actually. Ludogorets against Ferencvaros. For me, both teams to score, yes, at minus 120 looks a very good price here, personally. Ferencvaros in the last round played Noah, and there was all sorts of goals going off. 4-3 home win, goals away from home as well in the first leg. And I think against Ludogorets here, the Bulgarian champions who've won the Bulgarian league, I think something daft like 13 years in a row, perennial European team, but they don't usually qualify for the Champions League. That this match, I just looked at this, both teams to score, yes, at minus 120, and thought that's way too big. I expected it to be minus 150, minus 160 sort of range. I know you've not got anything in that particular match, Will, but the Club Brugge RB Salzburg interests you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I did have a brief look at the Ludogorets Ferencvaros game. Lent overs as well, so kind of in line with you, right? On the 2/2.25 line. But it's really hard with these first round qualifiers because there's a lot on the line, and these two teams are pretty equal, as you can see from the draw no bet main Asian line. So I've left it alone in terms of an official pick. But I like the looks of the card in general tonight. I think it's a competitive, good card with some strong ties and some strong plays as well. And I've got a view on the Salzburg Bruges game. Yeah, these two teams, they're both kind of group stage regulars, aren't they? And we saw with Bruges, they got to the round of 16 last year, but they have lost a lot of their key players from last season. They've lost 5 starters actually in Jashiri, Odonyesk, De Kuiper, Talbi, and Jukla. And I haven't really lost Ordonez yet, but he's not in the squad. I think he's might be going to Marseille. But they've replaced them well. But it's just the question is, how quickly can these guys, the likes of Carlos Forb that they've brought in, how quickly can these guys embed themselves in the starting 11? And I think it's too early for that. So I think they will be kind of 4 or 5 starters down, and their replacements will be downgrades. Typically in a matchup like this, I'd be all over Bruges. I've generally been quite high on Bruges on this show and spoken about them quite a lot. Salzburg did not have a good season last season, but they were impressive against Brann, at least in the first leg, that they took out quite comfortably 4-1. According to my ratings, Bruges should still be small favourites here. But for me, it's pretty much 50-50 in this one-off matchup. I wouldn't be surprised to see Salzburg drift, actually, because Club Brugge are one of these teams that the sharp bettors just seem to love betting them. And often you'll see strong moves towards Bruges. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bruges go stronger favourites on the Tino bet line, which might give us plus 110, plus 120 on Salzburg. That would be a play for me at that price. It's not currently. And then when it comes to player props, we don't Bet Rivers don't currently have the shots on target market, which most people will know is one of my favourites. I have had a look in the anytime goal scorer, though. I like the look of Romeo Vermant from Club Bruges. Plus 270. He's likely to be playing central striker for Bruges now, given their reshuffle, given they've lost so many of their starters. And he averaged around about a goal every 110 minutes last season for Bruges. So for me, plus 270 is a little bit too big. Obviously, Solis would be the main choice, the main man for Bruges. And then Salzburg, you've got quite a few choices as well, but they've lost their main man, Oscar Gluck, which is clearly a negative for them. So interesting tie, lots of different potential angles. I'm hoping for a better price on Salzburg.
I mean, the interesting thing with both of these teams is that their domestic leagues have started. There's a few games in the bank for both of them. I think 3 competitive games for Club Brugge, and it might be 3 or 4 for Salzburg. More, actually, because they've played against Brann. And, I mean, I was looking at the goals here. Over 2.75 goals at minus 121. I know yesterday we talked on the show about these first legs can be quite tight. But Salzburg, whenever I watch them, they do seem to be the sort of team that get involved in a lot of sort of end-to-end contests. It's energetic, it's frantic, isn't it? It's the Red Bull style, really. Club Brugge have started with 3 times 2-1 results in their fixtures. Shock defeat, actually, at the weekend. I think they were minus money against Mechelen, is it? And they lost that one. So I'm always looking at the goals for the Salzburg games. And at minus 121, I mean, I thought this goal line would be probably over 3 goals, about minus 110. So I don't know if you've got any thoughts on the goal line here.
I would generally be leaning overs, but with Gluck having gone to Ajax, like he was the main creative force at Salzburg, and I don't really know who's going to be replacing him. So I get what you're saying about Salzburg being an overs team, but yeah, I can't play it without Gluck.
There's a few comments about your new look, facial hair, Will. I thought it was Movember for a minute, but I really like Brian's comment there, trying to go undercover so the books don't limit him. That's a good one. Byron says FC Lugano are fade until further notice. They're a random one, but I don't know who they've got next, Lugano, but I'm not going to be betting on them if Byron says that. I've got some splits for the game, actually. 87% of the money for this is on Club Brugge. They've been backed. And they might get backed even more if those sharps come in for Club Brugge. I think they're the sort of team that will become dangerous maybe at the end of after the transfer window. Yeah, definitely. It's difficult for these sides. We're going to talk later, especially with the Nice-Benfica game, where these transfers can make such a big difference. 65% of the money is on the over. And just back to the Ludogorets game, there 79% of the money is on the Hungarian side, Ferencvaros. It's quite interesting, actually, of the 3 games on this sheet that haven't kicked off yet. They're all pretty much draw no bet lines. Lech Poznan against Red Star. I did look at that game. I've got nothing for it. Lech had a very easy win against one of the Icelandic teams. I think it was the previous round. A red card greatly impacted that game. Red Star Belgrade, they're just one of those teams you never ever want to draw against in qualifying. They just have a knack of getting through. And though the biggest danger for them is in the home leg. So usually Red Star just try and keep it tight, get a draw or even win away from home, even a close defeat, and they will back themselves to win at home. They are very slight favourites here away from home against Lech Poznan. But I've got nothing in that match. You've got nothing in that one either, have you, Will? So we're going to move to 2 really spicy fixtures. Feyenoord against Fenerbahce. And Jose Mourinho has got a history against Feyenoord, hasn't he, when he was Roma manager? Some really interesting ties there. He always got the better of them. Will he get the better of them again over 2 legs? Feyenoord are the favourites, plus 135. Fenerbahce plus 188. On the face of it, that looks a big price on Feyenoord, but they have also lost a lot of players this summer. They've gained quite a few as well. So I think the odds is really difficult to forecast here for Feyenoord. Where do you have them right now? Are these odds accurate, Will?
There's actually been a big move for Fenerbahce, and I think it's based off what you were alluding to. They've lost Pike Chow, Hanko, Milambo, and Hartmann, 4 starters. 2 of them, probably 2 of their top 3 or 4 players, but they have replaced them very well. So kind of like Club Brugge. But again, how many of these new guys are going to be starting this game? Well, I think Sem Stein probably will be. Leo Sauer might be. And Watanabe probably has to, because otherwise their defense will be very barren. But Fenerbahce much more settled. They've brought in John Duran. They have lost Tadic and Zeko, but with Duran and El Nesri, they probably have enough. My initial thoughts were, I want to get a good price on Feyenoord here. I saw the money coming for Fenerbahce. I thought, you know what? Fenerbahce are poor travellers. Feyenoord at home at the KuPS with, I think, a very promising young manager in Robin van Persie. I think Feyenoord are going to have a good season, but it might be the second half of the season when they've kind of gone through and embedded some of these new players. But I can't get over the home field advantage being so big for Feyenoord. So I'm kind of leaning them -1/4. But the problem I have with that is 3 of their back 4 is likely to be new here. So, the likes of John Duran, if he's on, he's a pretty scary threat. El Nesri the same. I've actually ultimately landed on goals, and I think over 2.5 at -125 is a stonker of a bet. I think both defenses are extremely vulnerable, and if you look at the data, Feyenoord averaged 2.97 total XG per 90 last season. Fenerbahce 3.26. So I think the line should be it's a big game. It's a first leg of the third Champions League qualification round. It's a big game, right? But these do tend to be quite tight and cagey. I think the line should be 2 3/4, maybe even 3. So that's my main bet. Slight lean on Feyenoord -1/4, but maybe we'll get drawn a bet on this game. Who knows if that Fenerbahce money keeps coming?
Yeah, I mean, Fenerbahce are the sort of team who I do feel are a bit overrated at times. I get why they can be in that territory, because the actual squad is decent, isn't it? Duran, of course, he's back, only 6 months out there in the Middle East, and he's landed on Fenerbahce. What is it about these big strikers often ending up in the Turkish league, Will? But I did look at his anytime goal scorer odds today. If he starts, that is, there was rumours of a bust-up already with Jose Mourinho regarding work rate in training. It might be complete, utter nonsense, but he is plus 230 to score any time with Bet Rivers. It does look like there's a lot of good offensive players on show. I think losing Hanchko for Feyenoord, that's a big loss. I think he's gone to one of the La Liga teams. I've forgotten which one. Is it Atletico Madrid? He's gone there. I think it's a great signing, actually.
Yeah.
But he's far too good for the Dutch league. You don't get many elite defenders in the Dutch league, and he was one of them there. So that's a big loss for me. I can see your goal angle there, to be fair, and you wouldn't want to bet against Feyenoord at the Kite, would you? They're a good side there. You can watch this match live on the Bet Rivers app or website. In fact, all of these Champions League qualifying games you can watch on the app right now. The game in play, Kairat are now -117. They've been backed in play. They've absolutely dominated territorially in the game. I've been watching it. They are the sort of team, though, who shoot from everywhere. If you don't shoot, you don't score, but they're not bothered about high XG chances here. They just want to score. I wouldn't be getting involved at this stage. 51% of the money is on Feyenoord. Really split game, but in terms of the money for the over, it's 87% there on the over. So that would align with you there, Will. Let's move down to the... Actually, before we do that, there's a question from Foxy. Welcome in, Foxy. Is that your Mal's jersey behind you, Will?
No, it's Leo Messi.
Yeah.
It's Leo Messi. I've actually got normally I have my Iniesta jersey on show, which is my favourite. But no, that's the messy one.
Yeah, I thought as much. Giuseppe, welcome in. Fenerbahce away has been awful last season. He wouldn't risk the money line. Goals is the better one. He totally agrees with you there, Will. Byron likes that both teams score no in the Ferencvaros game. I like yes there. Byron, I'm interested to hear. Are you trusting both defences there, or are you worried about the actual attacks? Interested to hear about that one. And Byron doesn't like Fenerbahce on the road either. Yeah, they have been poor travellers. Let's move to the south coast of France then. Nice against Benfica in this particular instance. Benfica plus 128 on the money line. Nice plus 200. The tie is plus 235. Lille did qualify last year in this stage of qualifying as the French Ligue 1 side. But historically, it's been a graveyard for the French teams in Champions League qualifying. And I've got a feeling that, I would be very surprised if Nice get through over 2 legs, Will. For me right now, probably only about the 5th best team in France against possibly the best team in Portugal at the moment. Would you agree?
Yeah, probably. They won the Super Cup, didn't they? Benfica.
Yes, 1-0.
Sporting. They've been pretty settled in the off-season. They've made some really strong buys in the market, actually. Enzo Barrenechea, Richard Rios, 2 very good signings. Obviously, Di Maria's gone home. Karim Artoglu is out for this, and I think that's a big missing for Benfica. And at the same time, I think Nice, they're not going to be popular here, are they? And most people are going to be thinking Benfica will go through quite comfortably, but I just don't know whether they justify being minus a quarter goal favourites away from home. Nice have got a lot of talent. It's just whether we can trust them or not. And I can't trust them enough to really back them at this price. But if they keep going and we get plus money on the plus a quarter, then I might be tempted, just because Artoglu is such a big player for Benfica. Home field advantage is not to be underestimated. I think Benfica probably take a draw here. So that's definitely a lean for me, but need a better price. And then we might get a better price again because Benfica do often get backed in European competition. Another team that the Sharps seem to really rate. A bit scary to take on with such an unpredictable team like Nice. But yeah, I'd be finding it hard to back Benfica. Purely based off ratings, right? More than anything, like my ratings model has Nice here as basically draw no bets, and we're a quarter of a goal out. Maybe that makes sense because Evan Gesson's going to be out, and Rios and Barrenechea are in for Benfica. So maybe that's justified, but lean for me, Nice.
Yeah, the Champions League always does this to me. I really like Benfica in this game. I don't think they'll lose it. I wanted draw no bet on them. I'm not getting it. You can. What's the odds on draw no bet? About minus 150, which I'm not interested in at all. Minus 157. It's disappointing. This is the Champions League always does this to me. Well, the amount of times that you must take uncomfortable bets, the list must be endless because of the odds are just too generous. You are absolutely right in terms of price. Nice on plus a quarter of a goal. If you were to get plus half a goal at good odds, then it would be the value play because Benfica, they're a good side, but they're not elite, are they? In terms of European level, they're good. But more than that.
It's kind of, for me, I think Byron's alluding to it there. If we could get Nice plus a half a goal, it would be a nailed on play. Like you just have to play that. But if Benfica, like you were saying, if Benfica are draw no bet, tie no bet, then we have to play that. The line is minus a quarter. The line is probably right. I have a very, very small lean towards Nice from a value perspective, but it's very low confidence. But again, could be a great tie. What about the total, Steve? Are you interested in the total here?
I think under goals. Yeah, just because it's the first. I don't think this is Nice's first competitive game. Benfica have not had a league match yet, and they could be. Sometimes at this stage of the season, the sides are a bit rusty, and I think Benfica also, if you offer them a draw right now, they will take it. They would. If you offer them 0-0, they're very happy with that result. And I think, brutally honest, if you offered Nice that, they'd take it as well. So I think it will be cagey. Billy Franklin to put that in the chat there. I agree. It's going to be quite cagey in this instance. You can actually get plus 100 on under 2.5 goals with Bet Rivers, which is interesting. What's the 2.75 line? I'm just checking now. Minus 134 for under 2.75. I think the draw is very, very possible on the night. 1-0 or 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of have a bit of not PTSD, but I definitely have strong memories of Benfica games going way over, not least the 4-4 with Barca last season, and it's hard to imagine backing under with Benfica for me, and I don't really feel Nice enough to have a view on the total really here. But with Aktoglu out and no guess on for Nice, maybe there's an angle there, cagey kind of under 2.5, like you say, a 1-1 that both teams may take. Benfica probably more than Nice, but it's hard to really get a strong read into this one for me.
91% of the money's on Benfica and 90% of the money's on the over so far on the game. Just an interesting side note from producer Troy here. Both teams to score yes is hitting both of Nice and Benfica's friendlies in 2025. So for those who do factor in the friendly form and results, then that might be something to look at in that instance. You're showing under 2.75 goals at minus 177. It's for the Nice game, Byron. Yeah, under 2.75 goals with Bet Rivers now is minus 134 as far as I can see. Although that is betrivers.net. So it could be potentially different somewhere. That would be a big difference, though, I must say. Don't know about that. Actually, click on the price and see if it actually is the legit price. Sometimes it could be a graphical thing in terms of that. There is, just as a reminder for people, Europa League action today as well. RFS from Latvia against KuPS from Finland. And then we've got Rijeka against Shelbourne, Croatian champions actually against Shelbourne. I've got nothing in either game. If we're being brutally honest, Rijeka should be beating Shelbourne at home with a bit to spare. And then in the other game there, the KuPS game, I've not been that impressed with Finnish football recently. So I would be looking more towards RFS, but not at minus. They're actually minus 136 now. I'm a bit disappointed here. Well, I was hoping that we could get RFS at maybe that plus 125. That's obviously miles away. And the market doesn't really rate Finnish football, just like I don't at the moment. I'm guessing Europa League, you're not quite on your radar yet with the Europa League. Not
really, yeah. I mean, generally speaking, my knowledge of these kind of like lower tier European teams is not that strong. I did talk about them on last week's show against RFS Malmo. I was expecting RFS to be able to get on the score sheet there. They didn't. I don't really know enough about them to get involved here, but certainly will bow to your knowledge on these teams, Steve.
KuPS are the champions of Finland, but I'd say none of their teams have impressed me too much. I don't think that league's in great shape. I don't actually think the Danish league's in great shape at the minute. I'm going to be looking to oppose all their teams tomorrow. That's for sure. But anyway, moving stateside, Leagues Cups going on, loads of goals, loads of cards, loads of action going on. Bonkers kind of format, but it seems to be bringing plenty of entertainment, Will. We've got 7 games on the card for this evening. So you're going to basically pick through some of these matches. Where shall we start? Give us a fixture to get involved in.
I think just to open, we've got to remind ourselves of the trend so far. We've seen 30 of 42 games go over 2.5. Last season, 57 of 77. So similar kind of run rates. I mean, conclusion is we've now got a sample size of 119 matches, of which 87 have gone over. You know, you don't really want to be looking at unders. Although what I will say is the market in general has definitely kind of caught up with that. Finally, it seems to be cranking the totals up a little bit, probably about far enough. So I think we have to be much more selective on the overs. The other thing I'd say is if you look at the tables, it might seem like the MLS teams and Liga MX teams have generally been very well matched. I'm kind of look at it more versus like market expectations. And I think generally the Liga MX teams have been overperforming slightly And certainly the sharp money seems to be more toward the Liga MX teams too. If you look at like the pre-match market movements, more often than not, money is coming for the Liga MX teams. So a couple of things to bear in mind there. And leading into the first game, I kind of want to talk about, it's probably, Inter Miami, they're probably the biggest, the most interesting team, perhaps most would say. I think the biggest name team in in North America now. But Messi won't be playing in this game, and it's a big game for both teams. They both are fighting for qualification with the kind of strange, like you said, the strange qualification format. Only 4 teams of 18 from each league qualify for the quarterfinals, and both of these have won 1 and drawn 1 so far. Obviously, Messi being out for Inter Miami is huge. But at the same time, this will be their 3rd game in 7 days. And how will that affect the kind of aging legs of Suarez, Busquets, Alba, and the new signing, De Paul, who is he 34, I think? 33, 34. So I think
it's quite a good signing. He's very tenacious. That's a great signing for MLS.
He's a fantastic signing for Inter Miami as well, because they did kind of miss that tenacity, like you say, in midfield. And obviously they got the big 4, but Busquets isn't getting any younger, and they were kind of weak in midfield. So De Paul, fantastic signing. He was great in the last match. Sorry, not against Necaxa. He was quite good actually against Necaxa. He's been good since joining, but still, it's the 3rd game in 7 days for all of those guys. And I think Pumas plus a half is a lean for me. But my main bet will be over 2.75. I think maybe the market's just kind of over-adjusted for Messi being out. It's just really hard to see any Miami game going under this kind of line, and both teams needing to win also helps us. So I think there's enough meat on the bone there for the overs, and like I said, a lean for Pumas.
It's a low goal line. That's for this League's Cup in a must-win game. That is a low goal line, isn't it? I didn't really expect that here.
I think basically what happens is when Messi got injured in their previous game, all of the algorithms and all of the kind of people reacting to injuries in previous games for the next fixture, they all kind of got betting Pumas and the under. And now we've ended up with a line which might be quite attractive the other way. So that
how many goals is Messi worth on a do you reckon? I mean, that's a great debate. Put your answer in chat, because he's in MLS terms, he's got to be worth at least surely half a goal a game, hasn't he?
Yeah, probably about 0.4 of a goal, I'd say.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it depends like how motivated is he, If it's Inter Miami, in the MLS Cup final, then he's probably worth half a goal. But if he's playing in a meaningless Leagues Cup game, for example, or MLS game, this is not meaningless for the record. Maybe he's worth quarter of a goal, So it's context dependent, but yeah, probably about 0.4 of a goal.
I got burnt last night actually in a game. I didn't have much on it, but I was just looking at it from a sheer motivational state. I betted against San Diego, and there's another one here. Atlanta United, they're eliminated from the competition, but they're minus money to win. I mean, these sort of situations always, for me, I'm a big motivation. I said it yesterday. I'm a big motivational better in terms of. I just think you've got to factor in it hugely, but maybe there's different dynamics here that teams are playing for pride more. I don't know, entertainment, things like that for the fans of the Atlas game. This is actually interesting because both are actually eliminated. But I wouldn't be betting on a team at minus money when they've got nothing on it. I don't know how you approach those sort of things, Will. But any other games that you really like?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, that Atlas are also not necessarily motivated there, or they're eliminated. So it's hard to kind of get a gauge. I mean, one way you can get a gauge is to go and try and read or watch the press conferences, the manager press conferences. Often they'll they'll probably say the right things more often than not, but you can kind of get a bit of a feeling from it. I haven't got anything in that game, but the other one I kind of like is the Real Salt Lake. So probably on the next page of the graphic against Queretaro. Queretaro said pre-tournament the worst side in the tournament, and they've kind of lived up to my expectations so far. 2 losses out of 2. They've got nothing to play for. So, I mean, they're eliminated. Real Salt Lake have drawn both of their games, won 1 on penalties, lost 1 on penalties, still have an outside chance of qualification. I mean, I'd like to see the team news before betting on it, but they did rest Diego Luna in their last game, who's probably their most important player. And they are stacked with talent with the likes of Luna, Gozo, Piol. I mean, they've got a lot of kind of young, talented players. And I think they're a team on the up. Queretaro, who knows what we're going to get from them. They've been pretty awful so far. I think we've just got the better team playing at home with greater motivation, but then they're minus 205. If you combine it with the over 2.5 goals, you get to minus 120. I think that's a decent bet. Real Salt Lake to win and over 2.5 goals at minus 120. I think that's far more likely to happen than not.
Do Real Salt Lake have an altitude advantage at all?
They do, yeah. Actually, we spoke about them. I spoke about them last week with Dan, and I think they were playing Club America. And actually, someone in the chat corrected me to say Club America, Mexico City, and they play at altitude. So it wasn't an advantage then. I think they're at about 1,000 meters. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly where Queretaro is in Mexico. Lots of Mexican teams play at altitude. That would be an added bonus, really, if Queretaro are kind of a coastal based team. Yeah. Anyone let us know in the chat where Queretaro are based in Mexico?
I don't know.
We appreciate
it. My geography of Mexico is not amazing. I can't say I've ever actually really heard of them. But Byron reckons that Messi's worth about 3/4 of a goal in MLS. William Jenner says 0.5. And yeah, I mean, work out why San Diego did play such a strong team. I don't know. This is the soccer conundrum, Will, that has baned my existence for years. But when you get it right, it's brilliant. When you get it wrong, it's awful. Steve from Lynn likes Portland. The Timbers against Club America. Club America nearly minus 200 favourites there. But Seattle Sounders also against Tijuana there. Any final bet before we finish the show, Will? Or you just those two?
Just commenting on Steve from Lynn said he liked Portland. That's an interesting game because Club America, probably the best team in Mexico, or yeah, they're definitely there or thereabouts. It's borderline whether they can they've got a very, very outside chance. There's a chance that they just sack it off, play their reserves. Well, not necessarily sack it off because their reserves have still got a decent chance of beating Portland. But, you know, Portland on the +1 line, they're definitely up for this. That could be like a free roll to nothing on the team news there. So that's an interesting one. I mean, look, Club America, if they play their starters, they're definitely a much better team than Portland, but you never know. And then, yeah, Byron, meters to yards. I mean, it's not that difficult, especially with AI and Google. So I don't know, 1,300.
AZ Flights here says they actually play at very high elevation as well. 1,820 meters. That is high. That is as high as that's like an alpine ski resort.
Oh wow,
that's
maybe it's not high enough for them. Maybe that's why they've been so poor.
It does just show you. But yeah, that is pretty much it for today. What would be your best bet, Will, out of those selections today?
Probably Feyenoord Fenerbahce over 2.5.
I'm going my best bet and over as well, and it is in that RB Salzburg game against Club Brugge. I do like Ferencvaros, Ludogorets, both teams score, yes, but it was interesting. Me and Byron head-to-head on that one. So they made the best man win.
That was interesting.
And best of luck with all your plays, Will. You're going to be back on the show most Wednesdays, I think, this month, and going ahead in the Champions League. It's going to be tasty with the group stages starting September, of course. And, you know, tonight it really feels like it's starting to get serious again with some really big teams in action from several leagues. But thank you, everyone who joined live or on demand. Remember, do hit that like button. It really does help us out. And anyone new, then we would appreciate the subscription We're getting very close to 11,000 subscribers now. And one final reminder for the newsletter, do sign up for free, www.bettingweeklystudios.com. In about an hour and 20 minutes time, we've got Betting Weekly Tennis Live with Nigel and Mitch. And then later on, we've got Betting Weekly Hardball and Fast Break. Will, it was a pleasure as always. And I'll see you next week.
Likewise, Steve. Have a good one, everyone. And let's cash some winning tickets.
Take care, everyone. See you next time.